When we think about the past, it's all based on our memories. We can remember people, places, things, events. But how do we know those memories are accurate? How do we know those memories aren't a fabrication of our mind or something we've heard somewhere else? Our memory is fallible at best. So how can we be sure that the way we perceive the past actually happened? In today's video, we're going to explore a situation that might make you question everything you remember. It's your story. This is your life. Here's a quote to ponder. The only source of knowledge is experience. You cannot get knowledge from books or teachers or anybody else. Only from experience. Now, this is a very bold statement. Most people would disagree. They would say, there's different forms of knowledge, but I want you to think about what he said for a moment. All of our learning in life is based on our experiences. We hear someone talk about their experience and we take their word for it. We trust that they had an experience and that the way they recall that experience actually happened. We believe that other people have lives just like us, and that their lives consist of the same basic elements that ours does. However, we don't really know this. You may have experienced something unique in your life that no one else has ever experienced before. This means that you've lived a life that has never been lived before. In fact, if you're watching this video right now, you're experiencing something no one else has ever experienced before. Think about it. No one else is watching this specific video at this specific time. Therefore, your experience is unique. The universe doesn't repeat itself. There's no identical galaxies. There's no identical atoms. Nothing is exactly the same because everything is in constant motion and change. This means that every moment of every day, you are creating new experiences that have never been created before. Your life is a series of unique events that make up your reality. So, here's my question for you. If your life is made up of these unique experiences that have never happened before, how do you know that your view of reality is accurate? How do you know that your interpretation of the world around you is true? Now, I want to tell you a story about a man who experienced an event that changed his reality forever. This man was born in South Africa in 1918 during the typhoid epidemic. His mother died soon after he was born, and his father sent him to live with his grandmother in a small village. He spent his childhood playing outside and exploring the wilderness. He loved animals and would often bring home injured birds and nurse them back to health. When he was 13, he left home to attend a boarding school in Johannesburg, where he excelled in his studies and became head boy. After graduating, he went to university to study medicine, but soon realized that it wasn't for him. He switched to law and eventually became a successful lawyer. He married a beautiful woman named Evelyn, and they had 2 children together. He was active in politics and human rights and became a judge in the Natal Supreme Court. He lived a long life filled with adventure, love, and loss. He passed away in 2001 at the age of 83. This man's name was Nelson Mandela, and now I want to tell you another story about a man who experienced an event that changed his reality forever. This man was born in a small town in Mississippi in 1929. His father was a sharecropper who worked on a large farm. His mother was a domestic worker who took care of the house and children of the farm's owner. When he was 6, his family moved to a small house in town. He spent his childhood playing with his friends and listening to his grandfather's stories about the Civil War. He attended segregated schools where he was taught that black people were inferior to white people. When he was 14, he ran away from home to join the Merchant Marine. He traveled around the world and saw many different cultures. When he returned home, he married a local girl and they had 2 children together. He worked odd jobs to support his family while also becoming involved in civil rights activism. He led protests against segregation and discrimination and was arrested many times for his activities. In 1963, he was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and sentenced to life in prison. He spent nearly 30 years in prison before being released in 1990. He continued his fight for justice and equality and helped to draft South Africa's new constitution. He became the country's first black president in 1994 and served 1 term. He worked to heal the wounds of the past and build a new nation based on democracy and human rights. He retired from public life in 2004 and passed away in 2013 at the age of 84. This man's name was Nelson Mandela. These are 2 different men from 2 different universes who have lived 2 completely different lives. One man lived in South Africa and the other man lived in Mississippi, but they both did the same things, had the same experiences, and even died at the same age. So which one of these men is real, and which one of them is fake? Or could it be that both of them are real in their own universes, but we're only aware of one of them? Have you ever experienced something so vivid that you're certain it happened, yet when you try to describe it to others, they look at you as if you're crazy? Have you ever had a memory that felt so real that you thought it must have been true, But when you checked your facts, you realized that it wasn't. These are examples of the Mandela Effect. The Mandela Effect is a phenomenon that occurs when a large group of people share a false memory of an event or detail. It's named after former President Nelson Mandela, who many people believe died in prison in the 1980s, even though he lived until 2013. Some possible explanations for the Mandela Effect include false memories, the availability heuristic, the confirmation bias, the bandwagon effect, and collective false memories. False memories can occur when our brains fill in gaps in our memory, or when we conflate events that happened in different times and places. The availability heuristic is a mental shortcut that makes us more likely to believe events that are more easily recalled or come to mind. Confirmation bias is a tendency to seek out and interpret information in a way that confirms our existing beliefs. The bandwagon effect is a tendency to adopt popular opinions or beliefs simply because they're popular. Collective false memories occur when groups of people share a false memory of an event that never happened, or that they weren't present for. But what if the Mandela Effect isn't just a glitch in our memory, but a glitch in the universe itself? What if the universe is constantly creating new versions of itself, and we're re-slipping between them without realizing it? This idea is known as the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics suggests that every time a decision is made or an event occurs, the universe splits into multiple parallel universes. Each universe represents a different outcome of the event or decision, and all of these universes exist simultaneously. This means that there are infinite versions of ourselves, living out infinite possibilities of our lives. It's possible that we could be slipping between these different universes when we experience the Mandela Effect. When we remember something that never happened or that we weren't present for, it could mean that we're re-accessing a version of ourselves from a parallel universe where those events did occur. This could explain why some memories feel so real but aren't true. They're coming from a different version of the universe where they happened. What if our thoughts are the reason we slip into these alternate versions of the universe? Our thoughts create our reality. What if our thoughts can affect the very fabric of the universe? When we think about something enough, it becomes our reality. When we think about something enough, it creates a magnetic pull that draws us toward it. This is the law of attraction. The law of attraction states that like attracts like. Our thoughts create our reality. If we think about a specific event over and over again, we'll eventually create a magnetic pull that draws us toward that event. This magnetic pull will eventually become so strong that it breaks through the barriers of our current universe and allows us to slip into a parallel universe where that event has already happened. This is how we experience the Mandela Effect. So the next time you experience the Mandela Effect, ask yourself, did I create this alternate version of the universe by thinking about this event too much? Did my thoughts cause me to slip into a parallel universe where this event happened? The answer to these questions may surprise you. I'd like to leave you with one final thought. If the universe is always changing and creating new versions of itself, then nothing is fixed. Nothing is certain. The only thing we can be sure of is that our thoughts create our reality. With this power comes great responsibility. We must be careful what we think about and what we put our attention towards. If we focus on negative thoughts or traumatic events, we'll create a reality where those things happen. But if we focus on positive thoughts and happy memories, we'll create a reality where those things happen as well. So, the next time you find yourself slipping between alternate versions of the universe, remember that it's your thoughts that create your reality. Be careful what you think about and what you put your attention towards, because it could affect not only your own reality, but the realities of everyone around you. The only source of knowledge is experience. You cannot get knowledge from books or teachers or anybody else, only from experience. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And remember, the universe is always changing and creating new versions of itself. You never know when you might slip into a parallel universe. So be careful what you think about and what you put your attention towards.